Yesterday we talked about Ron Paul, and I quoted his newsletter from 1992. I won't give you the whole quote again. I'll just give you the most devastating sentence in there. I think we can safely assume that 95% of the black males in that city, referring to Washington, D.C., are semi-criminal or entirely criminal. 95%. It's a terribly racist quote. And we put that up on YouTube, and of course we got a ton of emails saying, how dare you, Dr. Ron Paul is the best of the best. He's never done anything wrong. He's immaculate. And so he couldn't have done this. And they came up with these theories that it was somebody else, and da-da-da. So they said, do your research. Okay, calm down. So I said, all benefit of the doubt. I took everything that everybody sent me. I looked into the whole thing.
What's the research tell you?
Okay. The research tells me that Ron Paul sent out unsourced guys who won't even give their names, to talk to Free Market News Network Corporation. Gee, I wonder which side they're leaning on, right? Of course they're in favor of Ron Paul, but that's okay. That's okay. But these unnamed guys come out and say, yeah, I mean, that was the Ron Paul newsletter, and yeah, it was under his name. Not just the newsletter, but it was his byline. But he didn't really write it. And apparently, at some point, Ron Paul also told the Texas Monthly that he was a little embarrassed that he didn't write it, but that he didn't, right? Number one, that's him saying. So, of course, for Ron Paul supporters, that's good enough. But every politician is going to say that they didn't do it, right? So do I necessarily believe that? No, I think maybe he did it, maybe he didn't. But if he didn't write it, if somebody wrote in the Cenk Uygur newsletter under my name, a column written by Cenk Uygur, blacks are 95% criminal, I'd jump up and down. And I'd be like, what? No, that's crazy. I didn't write that. That's terrible, right? Ron Paul didn't correct that for decades, okay? For years and years, when NAACP was all over him. They went and said, hey, what the hell is this? And here's the excuse he used, that it was in the context of current events and statistical reports of the time. Really? Statistical reports of the time said 95% of blacks in Washington are criminals? No, they didn't. That's a lie. And that's a terrible excuse and a terrible explanation. So even if...
When in 92 did he write it? I'm willing to bet he wrote it after the Rodney King riots.
Oh, yes, he did. Exactly
right.
right.
After it, when
you
people
nailed
were scared of black people.
Yep. That was the context of current events that he was talking
And by the way, during those riots, I think the majority of the looting was actually done by Latinos.
Aha! Anyway, so Dr. Ron Paul can kiss my ass. I have a message to the Ron Paul listeners, okay, and the Ron Paul viewers and the guys who are huge fans of this. Your ideas might be fine. You don't have to do hero worship. Just because Ron Paul isn't perfect doesn't mean your ideas are wrong. But you get so wrapped up in your prophet that you feel like, no, my prophet can do no wrong. Just because he's done some wrong things doesn't mean your ideas are wrong. Now, I might not agree with all of your ideas, but just calm down. Believe in what you believe, and don't make this guy into some demigod that he's not. Nobody is, let alone Ron Paul. So if it turns out he's got a critical flaw, which he does here, understand it and accept it and realize it has nothing to do with your ideas.
Aside from all of his other critical flaws.
Yeah, aside from the critical flaws that we disagree with. But those are policy disagreements, right? So like a lot of the Ron Paul followers think get rid of the IRS. I think that's cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's not going to work. But that's a fine policy disagreement we can have without you needlessly making this guy into a saint. That's stupid. You're, of course, bound to get disappointed. And then you go and attack everybody like, Dr. Ron Paul is the boss. You look like an idiot. Calm down and just be a little bit more rational, and you'll get more respect.